everyone is gonna jump on it.
Well,
Maybe a couple of people.
I just clicked the
No.
button, so I'll warn you that it is actually live now.
So we're live, right?
Yes, right now.
Let me battle map.
I get a lot of messages.
Okay, can you hear me in the Twitch? Yeah, I can hear myself.
Okay. Cool. We're good.
Oh, someone is here. 28 people. Oh, that was. That's. Yes, I think we should explain.
Yeah, she. Well, you explain it.
So we decided to start stream, but we don't really have much topics right now. We have a chance of someone from Ukraine joining us from the front lines, but not sure about that yet. We're waiting on her. Actually, it's a girl. Her reply, because right now it's 11 o'clock, 11 p.m. in Ukraine, and maybe people are sleeping, but it's someone who works closely with 93rd Brigade. She's a volunteer. By volunteer, I mean she collects the donations for the 93rd Brigade and sends them to and drives them actually to the brigade, to the positions. It's something similar like Harry from the Ukraine aid ops, where they drive around delivering the aid, but on a much slower level. And she can join us and just answer your questions and our questions about the situation in Bakhmut, how she sees it, and you can ask whatever you want, basically. But once again, we're still waiting for the confirmation, because she just disappeared from being online, and as you know, internet connection is not really stable in Ukraine. So right now we're waiting, not advertising the stream too much.
Yeah. So she may come. She may bring a friend. Or she may not come. So
yeah, and with the friend is another girl that serves in 93rd Brigade. Actually, she is like technical chief of one of the battalions of the medical service in 93rd Brigade, and she may answer some of your questions as well if she comes. Of course, that's under the question, because they are both offline.
So I have news from Bakhmut today. Well, first, in these eastern residential areas, Russia's been pushed out of the residential area, and as far as I know, they're kind of around this like pond now, just outside. I don't know if Ukraine has taken control of this last little road, but they pushed Russia out of the residential area, and in Lipitny, they Ukraine did a I don't want to exaggerate how big it was, but there was a attack last night. I don't know how big it. I don't know, but they pushed up, killed a few Wagner, took the Wagner defensive position. Wagner attacked. Ukraine held the position, and then rotated new guys in. So now Ukraine has now taken that position from Wagner, and they've held it through multiple attacks. So that's my news from Bakhmut today. Other than that, Russia.
So while you're there, if you don't mind, you just a question, not a secret. Like how do you get those news, and how do you think they are reliable?
Well, the news from Epitney, I got the news from one of the guys who was. I have a friend who has been stationed near Epitney for a while now, and he just happened to be in that assault last night, and he messaged me like an hour ago telling me what happened, and I pretty much trust him.
Yep. So you got this message from someone who is actually there. That's
Yeah,
what I wanted to know.
I
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
So he was in the assault last night, survived the night from Wagner attacking back, and then he was relieved. So he, went to the back, I guess, and messaged me. So
Did he say anything about casualties on their side? Did they lose anyone?
he he almost never talks about casualties. Um, so no, he very rarely talks about casualties.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's hard to talk about that, and not everyone wants to share that, so that's totally fine. So can you show us the other? Are you using your map or is Google Earth so we can see the layout, the elevation differences?
I can open Google Earth. I didn't have it pre-opened.
Okay, Andrew, I think
Okay.
she is ready to join,
Okay.
and but we need to add her to the call.
Okay.
So should we try to call the group that we have because I have never done
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. Sure. That should, in theory, work.
So you see this group? Can you try? Can you actually try to add her to your contacts so you can call her after that?
Okay. I'm gonna just mute everything and then we can talk amongst ourselves. We'll be back in a Okay. We're trying to figure out the technical aspect of making the call, but we'll be back in a second. Just 1 sec.
Hello, Jane.
Okay,
Hello, Kristen.
we're live.
Женя, мы сейчас наладим все, потому что мы первый раз такое делаем через Telegram, поэтому просто повиси онлайн, хорошо?
Угу.
Спасибо.
Okay. We should be live right now. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think Twitch can hear us. Right? People on the Twitch can hear us.
So I am trying to ban this guy who just made that message, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that because I've never actually done it before.
Yeah, I've seen that as well, but account is suspended or deactivated. I think you've done it. So we can try to. You can post about this in your Twitch right now, and we can ask language to join.
Yeah. It's weird that there's not just like a delete this message button. Like, why does that button not exist? Okay, so we should probably be talking. Anyway, this is the 3D map. Recently there have been a few videos of Ukraine building defenses in this general area, which makes sense. We were talking the other day that this is kind of the high ground, probably the most important part of the city, really. But the Russians have been posting videos of this recently. I'm not sure why, but they do.
We have right now with us we have Jane, who is a volunteer working with the 93rd Brigade. So if you have any questions for her, you can ask. Of course, we will not post anything secret. We will not post any information that should not be posted. Nothing OPSEC. So welcome. You can drop your questions in the chat. I will try to read them and answer. Jane, and I have a question for you. Is it easier for you to speak in English or Ukrainian or Russian, and for me to translate, or you want to try English as well?
If you please can we speak Russian or Ukrainian because I
no
think
problem.
my English is very poor after this war. I have no spoken practice now, so it will be better if you will translate me. Main questions.
Окей, я тогда буду, смотри, если кто-то будет писать какие-то вопросы, я тебе буду задавать, ты можешь отвечать на том
Нет,
языке, которому...
текстом я прочитаю, а на слух мне действительно тяжеловато.
Да, я просто буду тогда переводить то, что ты говоришь, и чтобы было всем проще. So if anyone has questions, I will ask and translate from what Jane is saying, and I will start with the first question. Is Женя, можешь рассказать примерно, как долго ты вообще вот на войне, как долго ты с этим всем связана и давно и как ты в это попала? So my question to Jane was, how long has she been in this, and how did she get into the volunteer movement for the military in Ukraine?
Окей, я, в принципе, можно считать, что на войне с 2014 года, но в основном я занималась волонтерской деятельностью, за исключением одного периода. Тебе как проще по частям переводить, наверное?
Ты говори все предложение, я переведу его потом полностью. Ну, все, что хочешь, я потом переведу.
Мгм. Собственно, я занялась волонтерской деятельностью летом 2014 года, когда началась первая фаза войны. В 2015 году я пошла на работу в Министерство обороны и стала уже официально участником этой войны. После этого, после увольнения, я опять занималась волонтерской деятельностью. Но здесь, наверное, нужно пояснить, что волонтерство – это не комбат, не комбатант, то есть это не человек с оружием, это помощь с логистикой, с покупкой разнообразно необходимых вещей, которые, к сожалению, наша страна не может полностью обеспечить армия. Ну и, собственно, с тех пор я этим занималась. Поскольку я...
Я сейчас переведу это.
Да.
So Jane is working since 2014 in this war as a volunteer, and when she means by volunteer, it's not a combatant. What it means that she's doing the logistics, helping get the items that Ukrainian military is lacking and desperately needs, and the government just a bit slow there because of the bureaucracy, because of the lack of funding. So basically, imagine like it's almost, if you know me, it's almost the same what I do, but she actually delivers it to the front lines, and we cooperate together as well. So she's been in since 2014, officially registered, as understood, with Ministry of Defense of Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, delivering the help since then. И следующий вопрос тогда у меня. А с какими юнитами с какими подразделениями ты больше всего работаешь? So which units do you work most of with?
В основном это 93-я бригада, с которой я работаю с 2015 года. Частично я помогаю медикам 56-й бригады. У меня есть подопечная группа в иностранном легионе. Это англоязычные бойцы, добровольцы. Ну и по мелочам, как пойдется. Но в основном, конечно, на 70% это 93-я бригада.
So Jane works with mostly with the 93rd Brigade since 2015. Then also works with the 56 medical units there, and also has people who she helps, foreign volunteers, English speakers from the Legion, and also helps some smaller ones that are not that famous. Just someone went probably to territorial defense. Some stuff like that, more smaller ones. Следующий у меня, so the next question is, what do you say? Like, you work a lot with medics. Do you think what is like most important item that medics need right now, and what are they asking for the most? То есть ты работаешь с медиками, какие больше всего запросы сейчас приходят от медиков?
Как ни странно, это машина. это внедорожная машина, пикапы. Я работаю с медиками первой линии, то есть это кейс-эвак, то, что называется. То есть это люди, которые вывозят раненых напрямую из окопов. И наиболее критичен тут просто автотранспорт, потому что ничего, кроме мощного 4х4 пикапа, скорее всего, просто не может добраться до раненых. По остальным, конкретно медициной, ну, я мало занимаюсь, то есть нам присылают турникеты и израильские бандажи, да, это всегда востребовано на кейс-эваке, но в основном я фокусируюсь на автомобилях.
So, Jane, the main request from the medics is evacuation cars, like 4x4s and the pickup trucks. She works mostly with the frontline case evacuation, so that means not not evacuation from the front line. And there 4x4s are needed very much there, and this is the greatest request at the moment. So she does not do too much medical stuff, mostly focusing on the actual cars. Yes, and so I have this strange question, but maybe you can answer it. Do you know how many? What is the number of troops that Russia has right now around Bakhmut? Ты знаешь, это просто сейчас всех интересует очень, что происходит в Бахмуте, поэтому такой вопрос, если ты не знаешь, ничего страшного, но я должен спросить, знаешь ли ты примерно какое количество войск стоит вокруг Бахмута со стороны России?
Я не знаю, то есть я понимаю, что речь идет о десятках тысяч человек. То, что мне рассказывают, что русские вокруг Бахмута используют просто тактику маршала Жукова, заваливания трупами. Знаете, как рассказывали, что немецкие пулеметчики во Второй мировой сходили с ума от этой тактики, вот когда просто люди идут и идут по трупам, переступая своих, и их надо убивать. Вот то же самое сейчас рассказывают про Бахмут. То есть это
Спасибо, сейчас я
просто...
переведу. Jane does not know exact numbers on this, but what she knows is that from the reports from the troops that she's working with, is that there are tens of thousands, and they are endlessly storming the positions, and they are just throwing the bodies in, using like Soviet style attacks, where it just send groups waves after waves, and this reminds everyone of reports from the Second World War, when German machine gunners went mad because they were shooting so many people, and their mental state was shattered because of the number of bodies that they see every day. And it's similar state right now with the people who are around Bakhmut on the Ukrainian side. Ты что еще хотел добавить?
Да нет, в общем.
Okay.
Давай дальше.
So the next question is, since you are providing a lot of 4x4s, what would you say the problems with those 4x4s? Because I do know that repairing them is giving a 4x4 is one problem, and repairing it is another one. То есть вопрос, так как ты даешь много автомобилей, какая самая большая проблема, с которой вот сталкиваешься, когда передаешь эти автомобили в плане обслуживания, ремонта? Там резины не хватает, ломаются постоянно, там сцепление, ходовые коробки, ремонт.
На самом деле, сейчас самая большая проблема, пожалуй, с которой я сталкиваюсь, это то, что этих машин уже просто осталось мало, то есть их купили чуть ли не по всей Европе. А может быть, мы спросим об обслуживании. Не будем, хорошо, не будем спрашивать об обслуживании. То, что вижу я, это, безусловно, резина, которая постоянно пробивается осколками. Это ремонт ходовой, потому что машины ездят в темноте, и это воронки, это осколки, ямы и так далее. То есть ходовая и колеса страдают очень сильно. То есть в основном мы занимаемся этим. И такая немножко дополнительная проблема – это система ночного видения для этих машин, потому что ездить со светом, естественно, невозможно. Это делать из себя мишень. А полноценная система ночного видения – это довольно дорого.
Thank you, спасибо. Regarding the 4x4s and problems with them, of course, the one big problem is the tires, because of the shrapnel, pieces of the metal that when motor rounds blow up, when the artillery shells blow up, they leave a lot of debris and shells and rubber tires. They get punctures. They wear much more. And it's a big problem with tires. So that's one of the things that hurts a lot with standard 4x4s. Also, big problem is the I'm sorry, this is not. I may not know the right word in English for this, but suspension. Yeah, suspension of the car is a big problem because people are driving mostly at night. You cannot have lights, and the roads are covered with craters. The roads are covered with shrapnel as well, and it's always a problem because it all breaks all the time in such conditions. And another big problem that not that discussed is the night vision goggles, night vision devices that allow driving during the night. They're really expensive, and driving during the night with the lights on is almost impossible because you're endangering everyone if you do so, and drivers have to drive blindly. And thermal vision device, night vision device of generation 2 plus or 3 costs around starting 3 to probably $5,000. Скажи, какая цена тепловизора ночника нормального? Цена ночника нормального?
Около $4000.
Yep. So the price of the good night vision goggle or monocular that you can use for driving the car is around $4,000. Okay. So the next question, you may not know it, but it's just how you feel it, and if it's something that you feel unsecure about talking, to just skip the question. Такой вопрос. Как ты считаешь, каковы шансы, что что наши войска отступят в Бахмуте через реку и будут держать линию обороны по реке? Если хочешь не отвечать, то есть ты сам решай сама.
Я не хотела бы отвечать.
Yeah, no problem. So it's not a question that should be asked in the stream right now. So sorry about that. Give me 1 second. Одну минутку. Я так понимаю, Катя рядом там,
Да.
Такой вопрос сейчас. Да, я прочту, сам пойму.
Сейчас я к ним передвинусь. Скажи, Люда,
Добрый день.
Добрый день. This is Катруся. She is. Ты можешь расскажи, кто ты, если не против.
Я
О себе просто 2 слова.
Нет, старший водитель на эвакуации в зоне боевых действий.
So Kate is a senior driver in evacuation в какой ты бригаде? В 93-й?
93-й.
From the 93rd Brigade. And if you have any questions.
Не все бригады, только одного батальона.
Yeah, one of the battalions, because 93rd Brigade is really large, and it's just one of the battalions. And if you have any questions, you can ask. And сейчас я прочитаю вопрос, сам пойму и задам, если не против.
Мгм.
Какие, ну, ты, наверное, видишь это, какие раны больше всего вот сейчас получают на войне? То есть это пулевые, шрапнель или не знаю, подвернул
Это,
ногу?
это минозрывные и это осколочные.
So,
Множественно-осколочные. Потому что
yeah, so
такие
I've
у нас
asked,
подавление российской артиллерии.
what is the most common wounds that she sees on the soldiers right now, and the most common one is the shrapnel from the Russian artillery. It's the most common one at the moment. Такой вопрос: сколько такой сейчас я пытаюсь перевести это. Сколько вот времени, как правило, нужно для того, чтобы эвакуировать солдата, ну, то есть вот с места, где он получил ранение, до пункта, где его обслужат? Я сейчас переведу.
Да,
So,
я поняла смысл вопроса.
а?
Смотри, я поняла смысл вопроса. Ситуация в том, что все зависит от того, за сколько мы сможем его вытащить непосредственно с поля боя. Потому что если идет бой, если идет обстрел, раненых не вытягивают.
Мгм.
То есть как
Хорошо.
только бой закончился, а там мы дотащили до машины, бросили это в среднем 15-20 минут. Но проблема именно добраться до места, где он находится.
Okay, so I asked how long does it usually take time to get the wounded soldier from the front line to the facility where he can be treated, and the answer for that is that it really there is no one good no amount of time because it all depends on the situation. Because if the combat is still active, if the shelling is still active, evacuation is not going to be performed. So and this is the key problem. You cannot evacuate troops if you cannot get with a car to the front position to get the troops out if it's continuous, if it's being actively shelled. So that's a problem. Yeah, and I want to apologize to everyone. This is first time for me in doing something like this, and it's first time for them as well. Мы первый раз это все делаем из-за того, что в Твиттере сейчас проблемы начались, ищем другие платформы, так что я извиняюсь, что оно может криво идет. Вот. Ну, я вас, наверное, отпущу, потому что я, честно говоря, сам устаю, и мы к этому не подготовились, просто как тест делали, если вы не против, так что можете быть свободны.
Мы не против. Хорошего дня, спасибо.
Да, спасибо за то, что присоединились. Я, может, еще как-нибудь что-то придумаю, но более уже проверенное, продуманное. Большое спасибо вам.
Да, спасибо, Костя. Мы как раз получили передачу от Liberty Ukraine. И вот
Спасибо за рацию.
большое спасибо, очень благодарна за нее.
Пожалуйста. Спасибо вам. So they're gonna drop now. Unfortunately, well, we did it as a test. We never did anything like this before, and they are saying thanks to you guys, by the way, because I know a lot of people contributed to it. We provided them today with I think 20 radios, encrypted radios, and 3 repeaters, 3 VHF Motorola repeaters. I think the total value of that is like around $15,000 or even more. I think it's even around $20,000 from us, from Liberty Ukraine Foundation Fund, and they're thanking, and we're thanking them for joining. Ну, хорошего
Thanks for
вам.
your help, for your interest, to our war, to Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, and it was absolutely great pleasure having you here. And cheers. Have a safe night. And 4-5-0.
And
Thank you for coming. Sorry, I didn't say much. I was just listening. Okay. Well, that was cool to have some guests on. I was getting ready to tweet, but they had to leave. So
Yeah, thank you everyone, and for listening, for coming. This was more like other things that we do right now in here are with Andrew are just tests. We're not trying to. It's all learning for us at the moment. So if you also have any questions regarding the map to Andrew, to anyone, you're welcome to ask them, and we'll try to address them.
we can talk about some other news from today, if you'd like to. Because I know that in the south, Ukraine launched 2 small attacks. Like, they're not big attacks. I don't want to like exaggerate their importance, but they launched 2 small attacks. One near Shevchenko, and the other near Novomayorsky. They're very small attacks, but I think it's important because it shows just how much Russia failed in Pavlivka, and that's brutal for Russia anyway. As for other news, Russia said that they had some sort of breakthrough in Marinka today, which is false. It did not happen. I don't know why they choose to lie like this all the time, but that's the life that they choose to live. They did not have a breakthrough from anything that I've heard. They tried to break through, but they failed. They are taking ground in the north and south of the city, but that's not really from today. It's from more like yesterday and the day before. They're also trying to push south through this kind of. I'll open up Google Earth and look at it there. Where am I? You always have to get kind of situated on Google Earth. It's very confusing sometimes. Okay. Okay. So Russia's trying to cross these kind of those giant wide open fields. They're not having a great time. They've been trying to do this for months at this point, but they I mean, I don't even know what avenue of attack you would take here, because there's like nowhere to attack. I guess you move up the forest strips. Well, the forest strips are, first off, they're tiny. Look at these things as like 2 trees, but and also like another.
Andrew, can you zoom out? You are moving really fast. Can you zoom out and show where you are, and show where the north is, so we can understand the actual location on the map?
Okay, so this is Marinka.
Where is north? Let's start.
North
now I
is
see
up.
where it.
North is up.
Yeah. So right now north is up. Yeah.
Okay. So south of Marinka they've been trying to move south and take all of these farms. Because it's important for them to get around somehow. Because they need to take Kostiantynivka. Like, this is absolutely vital that Russia takes this town, at least for them anyway. So they have to attack here, and they've been trying to move from the east, but they haven't been able to get through Novomykolaiv. And they've been attacking Novomykolaiv like from this northeast and from the southeast. Never at the same time, which is weird because like they kind of like go like let's go northeast, and then they get bored and then go let's go southeast. And anyway, there's a fear that they'll attack both at the same time at some point, but they haven't yet.
Do you think that's happening because they lack a communication or like skills in combat arms, or just they don't care? What is the reason for that?
I don't know what the reason is. Like, it might just. I just take it as stubbornness, or maybe they just don't have the guys. Maybe they just don't have enough infantry to do both at the same time.
So can you got it? So can you show like an elevation? Is there an elevation difference, or this is just flat grounds?
This is pretty flat. And remember, all this elevation is exaggerated by 3x, so it's 3 times more than it actually is in real life. So this is flat. I don't think there's.
Okay, can you show us so we have understanding of actual like fields or a terrain that they're attacking through? They have to move through to attack.
Well,
just zoom in and try to. What are the like? Those are forest strips, or what is like the fields are separated by us, so people understand that.
Yeah, there is this forest, which I'm not sure who controls this. Like I've tried to figure it out, but it's really hard. So this forest is like on the edge of the gray area, and either Russia or Ukraine controls it. But otherwise, it's just
So
a bunch of forest strips, like really small forest strips.
This is the line. This is the line, right? Of
Yeah, this is like the southeast approach that they, I guess, moving through there. Like I don't know where else you could go.
So can you draw here right now or not?
I don't have drawing turned on right now. But this is kind of where this is like the southeast approach. The northeast approach is kind of even more suicidal because these fields, like all of these fields here, are gray area. So they have, I think Russia controls this, whatever this is. So this is kind of where they launch attacks from, I guess, and there too, maybe. But all of these wide open fields are gray area because Ukraine has tried to attack north, like following this forest strip. They tried to move up here, and I think they got up to around this intersection, and Russia called in a giant airstrike. So just a whole bunch of bombers came in and bombed them, and Ukraine had to run away. So it's just all of these wide open fields.
Did they use Telegram to call in the attacks?
Maybe. I don't know. But there's video of the airstrikes. It was filmed on like an Orlan drone or something. The drone was like kind of here, like you see the airstrike from like this perspective of like the bombs going boom boom. Anyway, so yeah, that's attacking from the
these are
northeast.
just to give more. So these are flat grounds mostly, and the only thing that if you're in infantry, the only thing that abstracts your view from where you are the forest strips, right, that are separated the lines, the fields, right?
Yeah. There's
So can
really
you
nothing else. It's just these.
Can you measure distance? Can you measure distance from Konstantinivka to Marinka so we understand the scale?
It's about 8 kilometers, 9. 8 or 9 kilometers, depending
Okay,
on
thank
where
you.
you measure it from. But yeah, from this, I think this stronghold. I don't even know if this stronghold, but this from this position that I'm pretty sure Russia has, it's like 4 kilometers.
4 kilometers.
And then they also kind of control this general area, which is
Mhm.
again another 4 kilometers. So it's basically they have to cross like 4+ kilometers of wide open ground to
Mhm.
attack, and they have not had any success. So, but taking Konstantinivka is absolutely vital. They've tried coming from the south as well. Um, uh, when they attacked Pavlivka, they also pushed up like around here towards Vodiane, and their hope here was to take Vodiana, which is kind of it's where Ukraine has a lot of anti-aircraft and a lot of artillery is kind of focused here. So they were trying to move up to this intersection on this highway and push Ukraine out and then move up and attack Konstantinivka from the south. But that didn't work. They got destroyed. Like not even like they moved up a little bit. And
When
they
when
destroyed
did this
around here.
happen?
When they attacked Pavlivka, what was that, like the beginning of November?
Mhm.
So it was like about 2 months ago. Actually, it was like October 20th, I think. I think that's when they launched the attack. So it was like, yeah, like 2 months ago. So that didn't work. So all of their attempts to take Konstantinivka have completely failed, and they need to get through Novo Nikolaevka, which they can't even get close to it. And now they're kind of trying to come from the north, and it's not going so well either. So this is kind of why like this whole area hasn't changed in months, like in months and months and months, nothing has changed. So the Marinka is slowly falling to Russia. They've moved up to this road here. This road. The Russians basically control most of everything east of this road. Ukraine controls a little bit of this area, but you can see in my other map where this is that same road. Russia controls most of everything east of that, except for a little bit in the middle. So
But when you say they take it, I mean there is almost nothing left over there. It's like they are destroying the entire city, and that's the way how they move through. They just completely smash and destroy all the buildings, and make it uninhabitable. Basically, I think we've seen the video of the tank. We showed the last
and they do
the last stream
daily.
as well.
There's daily airstrikes. They're dropping, large bombs constantly. They shoot peons here with their giant shells. They shoot artillery like 24/7, and all the mortars and the tanks. Just everything is destroying the city. Like there's not much left. So beyond Marinka, there is just wide open nothing, which is pretty similar to up here in Pervomaisky, where it's again the same sort of long, skinny towns that are just run parallel to these major roads with a whole bunch of nothing around it. This is a nightmare to attack, like especially because Ukraine controls all of this ground over here, where they can drop artillery, and by artillery, it's more often indirect fire tanks than actual artillery tubes. So they're dropping artillery all along these roads constantly, and Russia just can't move up. And when they try to, they might move up a little bit, and then they eventually get pushed back. So nothing changes, and that's probably more or less what's going to happen after Marinka eventually falls, because it's the same sort of long, skinny towns for just miles and miles, and in the same similar sort of situation, Ukraine will hold the ground that runs parallel to it, which here is even high grounds. Although this is exaggerated, it's not really that high. Although over here is kind of high.
Can you show? Can you just point so we can see the? It's 100 to just go back there.
Yeah, it's
and just hover over it, and it's in the right corner. It
Yeah.
says the height.
it's 145 meters around here, 150, and down here it's 124. So it's like 30 meters there. Then over here it's a little bit higher. Over here it's like a 50-meter advantage from these towns. This is a minor city, very small city, but
But it basically opens up. This elevation still gives you the advantage, and it slowly
Yeah.
goes up, right, for Ukraine. And
Yeah.
there is also a river that goes through.
Yep. And
Right,
ponds and all sorts of water.
and natural features basically that limit. And for to perform attacks further, you have to go first down, then you have to go up, right?
Yeah. Yep. So this after Marinka is not going to be easy for Russia. They very much want to take Krasnohorivka. I'm gonna point north again. So up is north.
So tell me this: how long in total time they've been attacking Marinka?
Well, they've been attacking there
Like
since
since
2014, haven't they?
no,
Right.
I mean after the start of the
I mean, well,
um,
they've been since day one. They've been attacking here
yeah.
from day one.
So for people to understand, you see, like you look south of Marinka, you see KVPP Marinka. You see the sign, just lower. It's on the left right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
On the left. Can you zoom in over there?
This is
Yeah,
what you
or
mean?
this one.
Yeah.
This. No. To the right from it. To the right. No, this is. Just move your mouse to the right, and up now. Mouse, not
Oh, here?
and up. You see KVPP Marinka?
I don't.
Just go up with your mouse. Don't move them up. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
So this is actually the line where was before, like a checkpoint. If you would wanna travel from occupied part to unoccupied part, you would go through this KVPP Marinka that is shown here. Yes, this one. So this was the line at the start of the wide-scale invasion, basically, and that this is what they moved in 9 months. And they moved only because they literally destroyed entire city of Marinka.
They've moved 1.7 kilometers.
Yeah. So what do you think the casualties on this, like to get this kilometers, 1 kilometer they suffered?
I honestly have no idea. I have seen videos of Marinka where 30 Russians moved up and one guy survived. So I do not know what the casualties are, but they are not good. I would assume thousands died. I don't know.
Got it.
But if you go on Google Earth, you can see like a lot of these trench lines because they're so old. They've been here for years at this point, so you can like just follow the trench lines around the city. It's pretty wild. But yeah, this Marinka is one major target. Krasnohorivka is another one. I mean, capturing Krasnohorivka is going to probably, I imagine, be just as hard, if not harder, than capturing Marinka. And they haven't even started yet. Because they need to capture this open area before they can attack. Because they want to attack from the north and from the east at the same time. Which, I mean, it's an idea, but I mean, I've talked to people who are in Krasnohorivka. They've told me at times there have been days where they get hit by one mortar shell all day, and that's it. They told me like one day a Russian got on his machine gun and fired a whole belt of ammo, and that was all the gunfire for the whole day. It was just one Russian shooting one belt. So
Probably drunk as well.
So this area has not been hit as hard as everything else, because you just imagine like the city that's just like a few kilometers south is wiped off the face of the map or face of the earth, and even the town that's a few kilometers north is getting just obliterated. But they're not, they don't have it so bad, do they? At least not yet.
So we have a question someone is asking. Would you say that BTG idea is dead, or Russia is simply not equipped anymore to attack in the way they designed their army before the invasion?
The BTG is just, there's no infantry. There's not enough infantry in the BTG. It never made sense to me why you would. And then like I hear from Russian officers, they said that if you attack with a BTG, you only send half of your manpower. So you would just imagine like a BTG is 1,000 guys, and of the 1,000, like 400 of them are infantry, and you only send half of your infantry to attack. So you're only attacking with like 200 guys. Like what is, I don't understand. It doesn't seem like a good idea to me. I'm sure you have your thoughts on it.
Well, my thoughts are a bit different. I don't think that it's a dead or a really bad idea. It's like with absolutely any design, there is an implementation and execution. So the idea is seems to be all right, but the problem is that you to do this, to perform properly with BTGs, your infantry, not only the number is a problem, but the infantry has to be really well trained and skilled with what they're doing, and they simply did not have it. They thought that we will have enough equipment, we will make our troops. We will make enough equipment, enough tanks, enough armor, and we don't need training basically because we have all that. And when they tried to use this tactic, it did not, because your infantry is the key. The infantry is actually was doing the attack, and those troops was the doing their job proper, not only both physical form, both mental condition, and knowledge of the tactics and the morale and the willingness to fight. They did not have it, and this was the reason why they failed, not because of the BTG structure itself. But once again, this is not like I'm saying the BTG is so great. What I'm saying is that if you give dick made of glass to an idiot, he's gonna break that dick and he's gonna cut his hands, and that's what basically happened. They don't know what to do with it, and this was the key, not the structure of the force itself, but the structure of the force is of course under the question, because once again, not enough, too much equipment, and at the same time too little infantry. And when you have too much equipment, it brings in such a plethora of logistical questions, because imagine everything is tracked, tracked vehicles consume like 2-3 times more fuel than wheeled vehicles. Then you have the parts that it breaks much more. It has to maintain much better, and there are so many things that come in with the logistics when you have so much equipment that it's it's not sustainable. It's not easily sustainable, and this is not a part out other than trade infantry. You have to have those logistics, and they figured out only the logistic to their artillery units, which stay behind 10 miles back then, where they're somewhat secure, and it's much safer to get them shells and the equipment. But to the front operating lines, to get their tanks resupplied, to get their IFVs resupplied, it's much more complicated.
They're asking. There's a question about who is speaking. I am Andrew, and my friend here is Konstantin. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I'm Konstantin. We come, I would say, from Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my handle there is Tio Yao Mikwi. I have, and Andrew is Andrew.
Yeah, I'm
Andrew.
Andrew Perpetua.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have another question. How many men and women has Ukraine trained so far?
Could you repeat the question? Sorry, I was
How
I was
many
reading another question.
how many men and women have Ukraine trained so far?
Trained, there is a big difference between trained and mobilized, because a lot of people are mobilized without any training. They are mostly, just get some basic skills of shooting, and they stay mostly behind enemy line, behind the front lines, like guardian, for example, bridges, guardian, storage facilities, driving, working on logistics, and so there is unfortunately not enough training centers to have them all trained. So they're usually put into the roles of that is less dangerous and requires less training. But there are all those who are fighting. And mostly right now the training, everyone goes through the training, like pretty good training, but still that's a big problem. Not because Ukraine is does not want to train its troops. It's mostly because there is so much pressure that we just don't have the capacity to do so. My overall take is that it's around 200,000 troops that went through the proper, not the best training. We're not talking about like 3 months preparations. We're talking about 4 weeks of proper training, accelerated one. And you must understand that even though it's accelerated and you can learn some theory, you can learn the shooting, but for example, if you have not really good physical form, you cannot build it in a month. You can upgrade it. You can become more resilient and how you say this? Build your stamina, but just a bit. You cannot become a marathon runner if you were if you've been smoking for 20 years before. And being a smoker, for example, is not a valid reason of not being drafted into the military, right? Because everyone who does not want to go to the military would run to a cigarette store and start smoking.
So we have a question about what happened to the men who were in the Kherson area once Kherson was liberated. I can tell you a bit. A bunch of them have been sent to Bakhmut. I think two brigades from Kherson at least have been sent to Bakhmut. What was it, the 57th and the 28th or whatever? I'm bad at remembering what numbers they are. But they're both in Bakhmut now. What happened to the rest? not entirely sure. Do you know, Konstantin?
No, I don't know. Probably you must understand that Kherson offensive Kherson liberation was not, done with a snap of fingers as easy as some try to say, and that Russians are just, being kicked out uh, and run away. It's not true. It was there was combat for a really long period of time. The troops are, I can imagine, that are exhausted and need rejuvenation before being put into combat once again. So most of the troops are probably finishing up the rejuvenation. I would not like recuperation before being sent into other areas. But of course, there are some that suffered less. So they are, like Andrew has said, 57s, I think. They can be sent faster, but it's not. It's not as easy as people think.
Yep. And just like, oh no, I won't get into that. But okay, do another question.
What's the other question?
I don't know. I was just looking. No, we kind of talked about Bakhmut, Yakovlivka. I'm not sure if it's fully controlled by Russia yet. The Russians say it is, but Ukrainians, I've heard, still claim to control the northern part. And that's... Oh, and there's a recent Ukrainian attack that was interesting. They attacked what is this pronounced? Holikova? Holikova?
Holikova.
Holikova. Anyway, they attacked not the town itself, but towards it. They control this little town. I can't remember what this town is called, and it's not labeled because it's too tiny. But they kind of pushed towards the town. This is north of Chernopopivka, so they're trying to cut the road, So that was an interesting attack. I'm not sure exactly what came of it. I'll turn up my volume again.
So while you're doing that, I will answer. I'm being asked how does Konstantin feel about Telegram? No qualms using it. Russian intel reading everything. So what can you specify what you exactly mean by Telegram? Like general Telegram channels, or you mean like private chats that I'm chatting with someone else, for example?
I think people might not know this, but Ukrainians are born with a Telegram account. It's my joke.
Yeah, it's true. In Ukraine, everyone uses Telegram. It's popular. No one knows in like stuff like Signal in Ukraine. Very little use. Some people use WhatsApp, but it's like 90% of Ukrainians use Telegram. And I actually don't think it's compromised. I mean, open chats or open channels in Telegram, of course, they are publicly available to anyone, and they're a source for open source information, both for Russian intel, for Ukrainian intel, and OSINT stuff. But we don't believe that private messaging in Telegram is compromised in any way.
Regarding the Vuhledar area, Russia is still attacking towards Vuhledar. Their attacks are pretty small at this point. They're not really making any genuine attempts to capture the town, city, whatever it is. There's more intense fighting over and Vlad Vladimirivka. Anyway,
Yeah,
there's more
that's Volodymyrivka.
Vladimirivka. It's hard for me because there's so many syllables. Anyway, there's more intense fighting here. I think Ukraine is actually attacking. Ukraine is the one attacking, not Russia. They're trying to, if I go to Google, oh, I have to find where I was again. Okay. So Ukraine is trying to take this kind of, I don't know if you call it high ground or whatever. They're trying to take this area here. Right now, some say this is controlled by Russia. I think I call it contested, but they want to take this area back, and so they can have some control over the city. But that's where the main fighting is now. And also Ukraine launched smaller attacks, like very small, on Novomayorsky and Shevchenko today. They launched attacks today on these two towns, but they're very small. Probably the attacks are probably like 20, 30 guys. They're not like major things. So that's kind of and Ukraine is pushing guys into Pavlivka, but those aren't really attacks either. It's just kind of like more like recon, I guess. This area has quieted down a lot. Like Ukraine doesn't even mention this area anymore because like nothing's really happening.
So what can you switch to? Let's talk a bit about Zaporizhia. Do you know if there was any changes or anything worth discussing around Guляйполе, for example?
I don't know of any changes. This area, this kind of highlighted area, Ukraine has recently liberated this as of December 3rd. So this was kind of a big deal. It went totally under the radar and nobody really talked about it, but it did happen. Fix my map right here. So they're moving closer to the Ploy, or Plogi.
Hello.
But they're not there yet. Russia has set up a stronghold in Zher. I can't say these names. You say it.
Inženerne. It's like
Inženerne.
engineering.
Okay. Anyway, they set up a stronghold here. They basically every single house in this town is completely taken over by Russians, and they went through and like fortified all of the houses. So this is kind of like a little stronghold. And Ukraine has their kind of stronghold in Beloheria. So this is kind of like a stalemate right now, and so it's just like a whole bunch of not that much is happening over here. So that's kind of the most interesting thing that happened. There was some talk of people were like speculating that Ukraine took Novodarivka, but they didn't. They moved up to a tree line around here, like this kind of tree line area, and Russia shelled them, and I think they fell back again to this tree line over here. So there just isn't too much super interesting going on in the front line in in the Zaporizhia area.
Got it. Okay, so I will let's just pause for a second and answer some questions. And guys, we're sorry that we're not being able to read and answer all of them. We're still learning, and just bear with us. So the next question is that I want to ask is. Give me 1 second. So, what do you think? What do you think about the rumors Ukraine slowly encircling Crimea? Let's start with the easy one that I
So-
can read and understand.
Yeah, I talked before about this Ukrainian attack north of Chernopapivka, and there is the Ukraine has had some like recon elements in this sort of area south of Kremenna, and I don't know if you call this encirclement. You would need to take one of these three towns, or these two towns, really, before I would really consider it encirclement. Or I don't know. I don't really consider this encirclement. I don't know what you think. What do you think, Constantine?
Okay, I was talking on mute. Can you pull up your map so we can understand that terrain a bit better? I mean, by map, I mean the Google Earth.
Okay. We're here.
Yeah, so this is just try not to. I'm gonna ask you try to keep it, north at the top part and south at the. So it because otherwise at least I'm being confused a bit when spin it too much. So as you can see, this is actually a pretty wooded area. It's all woods. And if we're talking about this like appendix that sticks out of Crimea, can you zoom in a bit closer to the Crimea?
What do you want me to zoom in on?
Yeah, like here.
Okay.
So if we're talking about like by encircling, just taking it into from two sides, getting the troops closer. That's one thing. If we're talking about encircling, to have having fire control over the highway to the east of it that goes through the eastern part of the city. That's I don't think that's really doable at the moment. There is heavy combat right now in these woods around. It's like literally so much is happening over there. There are really good Ukrainian forces over there. The Russians have this dug in so much that every step over there is cost a lot. But Ukraine slowly but steadily advances over there. That's the information that I have. But once again, there is no talking about at this moment of encircling it.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that all of these towns behind Kremenna are all extremely well fortified. So, like this whole train line they fortified this whole train line. This town here, this town there, this town here. These are all fortified. So, Kremenna right now is kind of the focus, but all of these are going to be big problems too. So, it's this whole and then beyond these towns you get the Rubizhna, which is another whole problem in itself. So this area is complicated.
But can you let's go north a bit of Crimea if you don't mind.
Okay.
And for example, to understand what's needed to be done to encircle it, just just to talk about it, not like we're doing the battle plans. But yeah, to actually encircle it, you would have to go through the high. I can imagine that you would have to go through the highway somewhere here, like have a pincer movement or something. And it's give us yep, and it's not as easy as people think, because as you can see, there is like a wooded area on one side and pretty like how you say the flat area, not flat, but no natural features on the left side, on the western part of the highway. So crossing it just by itself is not just something that can be done easily. But once again, Ukraine still. I can imagine that there are plans to do so, but it's more like keeping up the pressure,
Yeah.
and having
And
some
the weather is
successful.
not cooperating. The weather has been pretty bad.
Yeah, the weather as well right now. It's rain. It's sometimes it's -10 Celsius. Sometimes it's +10. The rain is almost constant, mixed with snow, and equipment and the guns are like not really not that easily not easily survives this, because even for example, my friend keeps telling me that AK-74 is junk, that they get it jammed all the time because of the weather and the sand around them, and he's complaining about it all the time. And I told him that you should clean it better, but once again, I tell that to everyone, but he says he's trying so hard, he cleans it as much as he can, but it still jams all the time, and it's a common problem not only for him but for many people. And so the weather not only impacts people, it impacts the equipment also, and by equipment I mean even small firearms. They use try to keep the guns in plastic bags all the time, so they are not, you can really easily take it off, and at the same time it's protected from sand and water, and it's pretty hard.
I just opened up my map real quick, and I just want to show that I marked the main defensive lines that Russia has, basically all the way up to the border, and you see that these towns are all heavily fortified. This one is too. I should probably mark that. So basically, these defensive trenches go from this pocket of fortified towns basically all the way up to the Russian border. So, and you also notice that they're all on the east of Svatove. So,
So we have a question. Do you know anything about explosions in Milerovo, Russia?
I've heard about it, but I don't really know much about it. I don't know if it's confirmed. I saw lots of Russians complaining about it, though.
Well, I think we can take one question, and then I'll have to drop.
Yeah, I saw one question about why attacking south is dangerous. Because
Please go ahead.
I think it's very dangerous, but the main issue is it's just so flat. It's so flat, and there's these terrain features where you have to attack uphill and then downhill and then uphill again. And this section where you have to go downhill and then uphill is really dangerous. It's very difficult to attack, and then you just have to do it over and over and over again the whole way south. So, and that on top of Russia having a very significant artillery advantage plus their air force, it just makes attacking south dangerous. It's going to have to be very well planned and very well executed. and I don't think it's gonna happen soon. I think maybe in March, April, May, but not now. I don't think. And it's gonna require significant preparation, and by that I mean taking out all of the ammo depots and taking out all of the major artillery positions with things like HIMARS and whatever. And maybe the Ukraine will get these longer range guided bombs by then, and that could help. Like, it's just going to be difficult. This is people look at this like, oh, you just have to go 30 kilometers, and it's 30 kilometers through like flat, like easy to defend territory. So I don't know. It's doable. It's just not easy. What do you think, Constantine?
So my take on it, I mean, everything is doable, but like you pointed out, this the terrain features, they limit the tactics, and your the easier the terrain, the easier to maneuver the terrain, the hard and more open it is, the more limited you're in the tactics, and this is where you cannot outsmart the your skills and your knowledge and understanding means less and less, because you have and the firepower means more, and fortifications means more. So that's why it's dangerous to attack over there right now. But like I said, there is no. I think that there is no. Like, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, because you usually need to come up with something new and get new type of capability. So Ukraine may as well ask, purchase, procure, find, build by themselves new capabilities that will allow them to for a new type of of maneuvers or tactics. As an example, ATACMS, for example, that will give them certain new advances and tactics. You can have, I don't know, for example, another batch of Excalibur rounds coming in that would allow Ukraine to concentrate the fire somewhere, and then after you deal with proper losses and cut off some of the logistics, then you can risk your you can do more risks, because the theoretical gains from your attack are going to be much higher now with the Emperor Russian logistics. So I say that while it complex doesn't mean that it's not doable. It's risky and requires some additional capabilities that Ukraine probably does not have at this given moment.
And they will. Ukraine has the ability right now to slowly grind down these forces, because they have the ability to target Mariupol, and they have the ability to target.
Melitopol, you mean? Melitopol?
No, I mean Mariupol. They can target Mariupol now, because they have missiles with long enough range to hit Mariupol.
And which missiles are we talking about? So
those the Turkish ones. I can't remember what they're called. That because the HIMARS can shoot roughly like almost to Mariupol, and then the Turkish missiles are even further range. So the Turkish ones can hit Mariupol, and they can also hit this, whatever this is called, like this little land bridge thing. What is this? Anyway, I don't know words, but
Kasa. We call it Kasa.
Okay. But this right here,
I used to go there for holidays.
This like bridge right here is so incredibly important. Because this is the main bridge that Russia is pushing like all their supplies through here. They are currently expanding this bridge to have more lanes of traffic, and like all the other bridges too. Like they're expanding this whole area to support more traffic, because they need to move all their supplies, like over to Kerch Bridge and then around and over this bridge, all these bridges, and then over towards Mariupol and up towards Melitopol. So targeting, now that Ukraine can target this bridge and they can target Mariupol, they can slowly degrade all of the Russian forces in this area. It's just going to take a long time. Like, however long it took to degrade the Russian forces and, in this Kherson area, it's going to take longer than that to degrade these guys. But it will eventually happen, and I have faith that eventually Russia will have to withdraw or Ukraine will attack, one or the other. Could they go, if they could press the attack when Le Mans fell? I don't think they could have. They did their best. I just
Yeah,
don't know.
pressing the attacks is when someone fails, you have big chances of failing further, and it's a gamble. So Ukraine does not. That's my personal opinion. Ukraine does not need to gamble anywhere at the moment, because slowly pressing and maneuver, defense maneuvers, and mobile defense is working pretty well for Ukraine. The lines are stabilized. Russia suffers large losses, and in the long run, it's not sustainable. At the same time, I do believe, even though some people don't agree, that Ukraine will continue getting the international support, will get new weapons, will get new bill approved by the United States of the aid, of the military aid, of the financial aid as well. At the same time, Russia is just throwing people in, and just depleting their financial capabilities, depleting their weapon stocks, depleting their human resources, and there is a limit. You cannot send your troops without proper weapons. They can have enough machine guns, for example, to last small firearms to last a really long time, but they don't have artillery shells in such huge quantities to keep this going. And they will simply and the their financial state cannot keep them going as well for too long. And at some point, the human resources are also going to be depleted, not because they don't have enough people. They have 140 million people live in Russia, and it's a huge number. But because of the people living in Murmansk, Russia is huge in eastern parts and central parts. That's where they draft them from mostly. They don't understand why this is happening, and it's going to result into something bad internally. There is so much the dictator can push when he's losing. When dictators are winning, it's pretty easy for them. It's straightforward. The morale is up. Everyone is rooting for them. But when they're not succeeding in anything, that's when things get complicated, and people don't want to go die for them, and they will have to rotate their troops eventually. And those who are rotated are not going to ever come back, because trust me, if you go back from there, they will have a really hard time finding those people who they rotated to bring them back. So I think that time is on the Ukrainian side, but of course the price of the price tag on that is really high.
We have another question. How many Ukrainians do you think are fit for service right now? Like, how many are in the military, like ready to go? Like how many could
Uh,
fight like in the front lines right now?
I think someone said in the news there was one of the officials, I think Reznikov, that we have around 1 million total in defense forces. It does not mean exactly the ZSU, but it means ZSU plus police forces that can act for less National Guard and Border Guard. So total is a bit more than 1 million. And how many of them are combat ready? That's a good question, but we're not gonna discuss it. I don't think we have information. I don't think anyone has information. It's only wild guesses.
It's a good number though. It's not like there's only like 50,000. It's a solid number.
Yeah, it's a solid number. It's definitely above 300,000. The problem with equipment is one of the
Yeah,
most
definitely.
complex things, that we don't have equipment. Because if you have your book in which you have to supply your troops with your battalion has to have, for example, three companies with each company having 9 BTRs. And you only have, that's 9 multiplied by 3, so 27 plus couple of command BTRs, and you only have 14 for someone to send like according to the staff book. You don't have this battalion is not considered to be combat ready, and you cannot send it into the combat. And if someone does, he has to have a really good explanation for that. Otherwise, he can as well be jailed after that, because he broke the staff book, and he did something that is not, he can be prosecuted for that actually later. So Ukraine is a law state. We have laws that we try to follow. Of course, just like with any state, we have our own mistakes, but we tend to follow our laws, and doing stupid things like sending people unequipped is not anyone wants to do. And there are exceptions for that, of course, but it's pretty hard having enough people but not having enough equipment. So I have to drop now. I don't think
Okay.
I can go on. I want to thank everyone for coming.
Yes.
I don't think we advertised this stream. I don't think did you mention this in Twitter or not?
I made a few tweets.
Oh, I did not see them. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming. It was great having you here.
Yep. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming, everyone. There will be a replay if you missed the original interview that we had. You can watch the replay later. All right. Goodbye.